I'm Jonathan Ross. This is Ross Reviews, and this is a 2004 HSV Avalanche. This is a extremely rare HSV wagon off-road creation. It's got a 5.7 liter V8 up front, all-wheel drive. Today we're going to review this thing. We're going to take it out of the road, we're going to check out its interior, and we will launch it. So make sure you stick around and let's get into it. Now, driving this 2004 HSV Avalanche, guys, this thing is absolutely so cool. Just in the fact HSV even made this thing. You know, you have a look at it and this big wagon, off-road inspired, all-wheel drive, LS1 V8 up front. You know, you got all the HSV VY kind of touches on the front end. Mate, this thing, it is pretty damn cool, I gotta say. Now, before we get into this review properly, I do have to say a huge thank you to Westside Autos, located here in Perth, Western Australia, for loaning us this particular HSV Avalanche today. If you guys are in the market for a used car, and you're in Perth, or you're anywhere in Australia, you gotta check these guys out, because their warehouse is absolutely insane, and they must have the most used cars for sale in all of Western Australia, because their warehouse is absolutely massive. So a huge thank you to them. Link for them is down in the description below, and this is for sale. So if you guys are interested, make sure you check them out. Now also, just before we carry on, I want to do a merch plug. I'm wearing my GTS LSA shirt, the Ross Reviews one. So guys, it does help me a massive amount if you'd go onto my shop, buy a shirt, buy a hoodie, and you know, I've got a couple of different designs. LSA the world, Bear the world, would mean a lot. So thank you guys for helping out there. Now, let's get back into this VY HSV Avalanche, because this thing is unique. And as soon as I seen this in Westside Autos, I had to say to the guys, look, I got to get in this thing. Like, it's so rare to see one of these, let alone be able to get in one and drive it and review it. There is almost no information on these on the web for an actual video. And I love cars like this that are weird, they're quirky, they're very exclusive. You know, these are really only sold in Australia and New Zealand. And man, what a rig this thing is. They were first launched in 2003, and they were carried up until 2005. Now, I did try and find out how many were actually made, and according to the HSV database, 333 in total were ever made. Now, I don't know if that is 100% true. This particular one is build number 150, so it's in the middle of, according to what HSV database says, but there was also a kind of side branch vehicle called the XUV, which essentially was this car, but with a ute in the back. And only 300 of those were ever made. How cool is that? You know what I mean? All-wheel drive, V8, you got the ute. Mate, this thing is cool. Now, just before we continue with this HSV Avalanche review, please make sure you go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button and click the bell notification so you do get updated on all our weekly uploads. Oh, mate, this thing rips. It is a little bit of a wet road, unfortunately, but thankfully, we got all-wheel drive, so let's send it. The exhaust does sound pretty decent, you know. You definitely can't hear it as much as you would like inside the car, but from the outside, it does have a pretty nice rumble to it, as all of these LSs always do. This LS1 puts out 270 kilowatts and 475 newton meters of torque. Runs all four wheels, and they were only available, unfortunately, in the 4-speed slush box. And I say that because basically every time I get into any vehicle that has a 4-speed, it is almost always garbage. Look, it's just cruising around. You still can do it. It still drives okay, but for a performance car, let's remember this is an HSV. It really just doesn't have that performance element, and you feel very restricted with the 4-speed. Now, I've been in a few cars, the VY Senator. I've also been in a VZ Club Sport with a B&M quick shift kit fitted. It does help it quite a bit, but it still doesn't give you that same engagement and just overall openness as the 6-speed manual does. Like, the 6-speed manual in this car would have been amazing. Now, because of this all-wheel drive drivetrain, the power is restricted. So I believe a normal Club Sport of this era would have had an extra 10 or 15 kilowatts of power. So you do have to sacrifice, again, a little bit in this because of the all-wheel drive. But it is a 38-62 split on torque. So it still is rear-wheel drive bias, which is nice. Now, just getting a bit of sound. And the alarm goes off again. I gotta say, even on a wet road, it is properly raining today, unfortunately. And, mate, she just grips and goes. It definitely is not the best handling car on the road. You've got that higher suspension travel, so you do feel this thing lean all over the place a bit. The steering is quite vague as well. But, at the end of the day, this is something that is not really meant to be taken too seriously as a proper performance car. This is kind of a unique creation, more of an experiment, really. And the fact that it could do some light off-roading, it is all-wheel drive, it's pretty cool. I do not think a lot of people would off-road one of these because of the rarity and being an HSV. Back in the day, these things did cost a small fortune, but, mate, the fact you can do it, and it is an HSV, that is unique. Now, just up the front here, this thing is getting upwards of 20 years old, so there is no infotainment system or anything, but I don't mind that. I like the wheel. It's got a pretty nice grip to it. The gauges are simple. They're nice looking. Got a proper handbrake here, which is always great to see. You've even got your oil pressure. You got a battery voltage meter up there, which is cool. And it's just a simple, nice interior. It really is. These very nice kind of leather sport bucket seats. They've got the HSV logo embroidered on them as well, so they are quite comfortable. I do absolutely love these cup holders that you just press and they kind of fold out. It is an ingenious design. Absolutely love those. Now, fuel economy, as you probably can imagine, is not great. This thing is dedicated all-wheel drive, and it's got a LS1 V8 up front. So, of course, she's gonna be reasonably thirsty. Now, I've been averaging around 14 to 15 liters today on my test review here, so it's definitely thirsty. Now, if you're on the freeway doing a long trip, I reckon you'd get it down around that 10, 11 liters. In the city, yeah, you're definitely gonna be sitting around that 16, 17 liters for sure. Now let's just pull over quickly and just have a bit of a walk around on the exterior here because there's a lot to look at. Now, of course, right as we stop, the weather does kind of open up a little bit, but just have a look at this Avalanche and, it is a striking vehicle to look at. It definitely does not look like anything else on the road. That is for sure. You have these crazy looking wheels. You've got these big HSV brakes behind them, and they are like slotted rotors front and back. So, this thing does have quite a bit of stopping power. Considering it weighs over 2 tons, you kind of need it. The side profile looks pretty sleek. I actually think this thing is pretty cool. It's obviously starting to age, and it does look a little bit funky. You can see up the front, you've got that VY shape, which I absolutely love. And up the top, you do have that sunroof. You've got your roof rack, so, you could really use this thing. You got a decent amount of ground clearance, so you could do some light off-roading in this thing. And at the back, again, you've got your twin exhaust at the edge there and your badging. It's pretty simple. You can lift this up and you've just got a massive place to put whatever you need. You know, you've even got little storage things here. I don't really know what these are for, but they look like cup holders of some sort. You got a full spare under here, a subwoofer, just plenty of room. Now, jumping into the back, have a look at it. You know, we've still got leather seats back here. They've got the embroidered HSV logo in them. You sit in here. This is in a normal seating position. I do have a decent amount of leg and feet room. Tons and tons of headroom here. So, you know, this thing is quite practical for 5 people in here. You could almost squeeze 5 adults. It would be a bit iffy for the middle person because of this that we have here. You do get some air vents. Unusually, there is no cup holders. So this is just an armrest. There's no cup holders. That really shocks me back here. There's usually a thing here that pushes and comes out, but not on the Avalanche. So, yeah, I guess if you're thirsty back here, too bad. So, now this is claimed at about 7 seconds, I believe, 0 to 100. So we are going to find out. We've got the draggy reset here. Now, just before we do launch this, I am excited to announce once again, we are teaming up with Laborde Motorsports, and we're giving away a free tune every month. So if you do live over east or internationally even, we will send you out one of these power gates. They can connect to your car over the internet, give you a custom tune, so you can put Crackle Map on it, whatever you like. And look, they're a great group of guys, so I'm excited to give away some tunes. All you're gonna have to do to enter is like this video, subscribe, share it, and just comment down below what car you have and where you're located. So yeah, let's give away some tunes. I'm excited. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that, guys. Enter away. Let's launch this car. Power mode is on just in drive because there is no launch control. And here we go. So 3, 2. Again, that 4-speed auto, it does restrict this engine a little bit, and yeah, it feels a little bit slower because of that. But let's have a look anyways at what that time was, guys. Now, 0 to 100 was achieved there, guys, in 6.6 seconds. So pretty much bang on around what it was claimed at. So around that 6.5, 7-second mark. So, you know, look, it definitely is a 4-speed auto. It has a lot to do with it. It takes a little bit more longer to run it through the gear, such and such and such and such. Even though we do have all-wheel drive, you would expect it to be a little bit faster. Let's remember this thing is 2 tons, and, you know, it's heavy. Not bad, not bad, considering this thing is almost 20 years old with all this weight in a 4-speed auto. It's pretty good. Now let's go ahead and talk about price here for a moment, because that was a big issue here. This thing brand new would have set you back about $74,000 before any options. So base model, 74 grand. That's a lot of change, considering that's about $10,000 more than an HSV Club Sport, and you're losing that 10 or 15 kilowatts as well. So you're paying more, you're getting less power. A lot of people weren't willing to sacrifice that. Now on the used market, these things are kind of a bargain. They really are. Considering the whole market now for Aussie cars, any Club Sport, HSV, you know, GTS, mate, you were talking big dollars even in the VY, VZ generation. So this one, look, they're kind of sitting around that 30 to 40 grand mark, and does depend on K's and condition. This particular one, again, is for sale at Westside Autos for, I believe, $35K. You just gotta love one of these crazy HSV creations, because this definitely looked like it would have been just a concept car, and the fact that it actually did go to production is brilliant, because I love these kind of weird one-off random cars that, you know, they might not have sold extremely well, but they're so cool that they experimented. They tried new things. I love manufacturers that were willing to go that distance and try it. That's something that's so cool. So in conclusion, the HSV Avalanche is really a one-of-a-kind V8 muscle car internals with the practicality of a large wagon and the grip from all-wheel drive. This HSV really is like no other. It's crazy to look at, rare as hen's teeth, and it actually really is nice to drive. It's only the fact that this was only offered as a 4-speed automatic is what really lets it down. If this was available in a 6-speed manual, this really would have been, without a doubt, one of the coolest dailyable HSVs ever made. Plenty of room for the family, 4x4 capabilities, LS1 V8, and that noise. If only it had been a manual. Thanks for watching.